Every thought you think is a code, a small silent program running in the background of your mind, and just like code, those thoughts build systems that shape the way you see, feel, and live. What if I told you, your entire life right now, your habits, your fears, your confidence, your limits, are not who you are? You didn't choose your first thoughts, they were installed by parents, by teachers, by experience, by pain, by moments you've long forgotten but that your mind never did. Your mind is a storyteller. It's been writing the same story for years. I'm not enough. I always fail. People always leave. I don't deserve more. And the more you think them, the more they become true. Not because they are, but because your brain starts looking for proof. Psychologists call it the confirmation bias, the tendency to seek what we already believe. So if you believe you're broken, your mind will find every reason to prove it, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it wants to be right. Your brain doesn't care if you're happy, it only cares if you're consistent. But here's the secret. What was programmed can be reprogrammed. Your mind is not stone, it's soft, plastic, flexible. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself through repetition and emotion. Every new thought, every new belief is like carving a new path through a forest. At first it's hard, the old path is easy, it's clear, it's known. But if you keep walking the new one, it gets wider, stronger, automatic. This is how you rebuild your life, one new thought at a time. Everything begins with awareness. You can't change a thought you haven't noticed. So the first step to reprogramming your mind is to observe without judgment. Notice the thought that says, I can't. Notice the one that whispers, why try? And instead of fighting it, watch it. When you become the observer of thought, you stop being the prisoner of it. That shift, from identification to observation, is the beginning of power. Most people try to change their lives by changing their actions. But, action comes from thought. Every habit, every behavior is born from a belief about who you are. If you think, I'm not disciplined, you won't be. And if you believe, I'm not confident, your body will obey that belief. So, that's why every transformation really must start at the source, right at the thought level, because honestly, your external life is nothing more than your internal code projected into the world. So, how do you reprogram a mind that's been running the same code for decades? It starts with a question. What do I want to believe? But the people who achieve the peak amounts of success, the highest performers in the world, have said, you know what? I need to discipline my mind to support me even when it comes up with an automatic immediate thoughts. I want those to be positive, buoyant, confident and strong, something that leads me to healthy decisions for my life, not just things that protect me. So I think we have to learn how to do that. One of the simple ways to do that is this framework to understand how thoughts develop into strong and automatic thoughts in our lives. I call the framework RUID, which stands for relative weight of importance and duration. People who often have negative recurring thoughts and feelings in their life, the reason those keep coming up is because at some point in their life or continually, they are giving those thoughts, the negative ones, more attention than necessarily any other thoughts. In other words, the relative weight that they give those thoughts is quite high. They give a lot of importance to them, so those thoughts are very important to me right now and they're durational. They last over a period of time. They keep thinking about those thoughts, and it's all that repetition that seals it in the back of their head, and now their head says, this is an easy thing, I know this one, and it pulls the thought forward. So that simple repetition, because they made it important and they thought about it a lot, keeps coming up for them over and over. There's a negative and a positive thing about that. The negative is, if you keep obsessing about negative things, your mind will be automatically conditioned to bring it up more and more often without your control, automatically. The positive aspect is that we can use that same skill set and same rule to apply positive thoughts into our own life. We can give positive thinking, positive questions, positive approaches to life, a lot of importance in our life, and a lot of focus. Focus on them and give a lot of duration to them over a period of time, and they get sealed in the brain as well. And now the brain says that's easy, and automatically thinks about positive things. So for me personally, I've done this so much in my life that I automatically think about the best possible outcomes in almost everything I do. I used to think about the negative outcomes, but I thought that wasn't supporting me. How did I do that? Leveraging RWID helped. I'll break it down for you a little bit about how you can do this. The first thing you have to do in order to improve your mind is to take total control of your attention and notice, where are your thoughts right now? On a continual basis, you have to think, where are my thoughts right now? Are they supporting me, or are they automatically coming up negative and self-protective in ways that are not advancing my life? Just to be aware, to be conscious of what's going on in your body, in your sense of feeling and emotion, and a sense of the thoughts you're actually having. Just start paying attention. Not, what do I think is realistic? Not, what do people expect? But, what do I want to believe? Because, belief is not about accuracy, it's about alignment. Your mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, not at first. When you visualize a new version of yourself, your brain lights up as if it's already happening. The same neural circuits fire, the same chemicals flow, the same story begins to form. That's not fantasy. That's neuroscience. Most adults don't need to reprogram something. They just need to program it for the first time. It's like there was never actually any programming that happened anywhere. There were all these patterns of instances and these circumstances that have all coalesced into these automatic thoughts and behaviors that they aren't necessarily being responsible for. They come up automatically and they happen. It's not like someone said, I want you to think this, I want you to think this. No one ever sat you down and wooed you into it. Maybe it happened, but for most people, it never happened. What they're really saying is, Brendan, I need to get a hold of my mind because sometimes I just have these constant negative, recurring thoughts that come up. I can't get rid of them. Or sometimes I get obsessed about this one bad thing that happened to me. So what they're really struggling to do is to master their mind in a more capable way. Let's talk about how your thoughts are generated. Some of this you might already know if you read my book, The Charge, or you've seen my other work in High Performance Academy, where we talk a lot about how you master your psychology. I'm going to give you one simple framework to think through, and then some tips, tools, and strategies that you can immediately input into your life to better manage your mind. The first thing is, if you're having negative recurring thoughts and feelings that are coming up, those are easy, and here's what I mean by that. We have two systems of thought, psychologists like to say now. We have the System 1 theory, which is your automatic, unconscious, immediate thoughts and impulses that come up from your body that usually your brain is saying, hey dude, we've thought through this before. Or, hey dude, we're trying to protect you. It's running at a baseline, easy, energetic level. Your brain loves to optimize itself. It doesn't like to have to do a lot of thinking. It just likes to say, what do we already know? How can we apply it to this situation? If you had fears in the past and a similar situation is here, your body generates those fears and says, hey man, run away again. If you had challenges in the past and you want to protect yourself, your brain just says, hey, protect yourself right now. We're worried about this. But sometimes those are not helpful thoughts. They're automatic, but they aren't actually helpful. It's just your brain saying, this is the easiest route we know. Every time you repeat a positive thought, every time you rewrite your inner dialogue, you are literally sculpting your brain. That's why affirmations work, not because they're magic words, but because they're mental reps. You're training your neurons to choose new connections. And over time, those new connections become your new default settings. Visual, rain falling in slow motion, then stopping, sunlight breaking through clouds. Narrator. But here's the part most people miss. You can't rebuild your mind if you still feed it with the same noise. Your environment is part of your code. Every song you listen to, every video you watch, every conversation you repeat is input. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and repetition. It absorbs whatever you give it. So if you want to reprogram your life, change what you consume, change what you repeat, change what you allow, Because you become what you feed your mind. Music slows. Visual. Person writing in a notebook. Words fade in. I am learning. I am growing. I am enough. Narrator. To rebuild your life, you must build new evidence. Every small promise you keep to yourself is a vote for a new identity. Every morning you get up, every goal you finish, every time you choose action over doubt, your brain takes notes, and slowly, it starts believing you. Confidence isn't built through belief alone. It's built through proof, repeated proof. That's the formula. Thought, action, repetition. That's how your mind learns who you've become. Music swells, cinematic strings, steady rhythm. Narrator. And one day, you wake up and realize the voice that once said, I can't, now whispers, I will. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You reprogrammed the code, you rebuilt the foundation, you rewired the system, you stopped being a passenger in your own mind. You became the architect, and that's where true freedom begins. Silence, visual, a bright sunrise over a quiet city. Narrator, softly. The life you want isn't waiting for you out there. It's waiting for you in here, inside every thought you challenge, inside every belief you rebuild, inside every moment you choose awareness over autopilot. You can't rewrite your past, but you can rewrite the meaning of it. You can't control every thought, but you can choose which ones to believe. That's the essence of power. That's the science of rebirth. Music fades, single piano note, long echo. Narrator, final whisper. Reprogram your thoughts. Rebuild your life. You are the code. You are the creator. And the story is yours. Screen fades to black. Text. Mind scripted. Understand your mind, and you'll rewrite your world.